Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Star Wars Minute. It's your daily show in which we analyze, scrutinize, and celebrate solo a Star Wars story 1 minute at a time. I'm Alex Robinson from alexrobinson.fun.
I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com.
I'm Arnie Niekamp from the podcast Hello from the Magic Tavern.
I am Matt Young, also from Hello from the Magic Tavern. Please go to patreon.com/Magic Tavern.
Thanks for coming back, guys. We're here to talk about minute number 45 of Solo. Minute number 45 starts off with Han putting his eyes down, as Beckett commanded him to do, and it ends a minute later with Han stammering like an idiot when Qi'ra asks him why he's there.
Well, thank you for having us again. It's been a really fun week talking about Solo, a Star Wars story. This is another moment for me where I was like, I want more cantina. Like their scene happens kind of in this isolated part of the floor they're on, I guess, of the ship.
Yeah.
And I was like, why isn't this like have a richer, more fun? There's a moment later where the guards come by, but and she gets to react, but it's like, I don't know. It just everything about this feels a little sparse to me for no reason. I know that there were a lot of reshoots, and I don't know if that's like part of it. Is like, was this a thing that was reshot and it was easier to just be like, put them in the corner and we put the sound on and like we don't have to have as much stuff and we're tighter in on some things to like help it fit in.
Like Buck Rogers.
If you look in the background, you can see Gary Coleman.
Well, it does seem to be, with the exception of maybe the conveyance chase on the thing, that has been a kind of recurring thing that overall it people are saying this kind of feels like a lower budget thing. It almost feels like it's like a TV show more so than, it almost feels like a Disney Plus show than it does of Star Wars movie.
But wasn't it one of the most expensive movies of all time at that time, or am I wrong about that?
I don't know. Well, the reshoots, I'm sure, contributed to that,
Yeah, but I mean, every movie has reshoots pretty much.
Right, but this one rather famously had a big
$275 million US dollars.
Wow. Yeesh.
Which is less than The Force Awakens, but more than Rogue One. The same as
I had no idea that big budget
Skywalker.
movies had gotten to this point. I guess to me, I'm still kind of like, well, Titanic is so expensive. It was $100 million, you know. So now to know that they even just routine ones cost $300 million is bonkers.
Once they hit 100 million, they just plateaued and they never went above that.
Yeah, because it feels, but I hear your point, Alex. Like it feels kind of sparse. Like there's points where it just feels like not very lived in, and it feels like they're trying to do a little with a lot. A lot with a little. A lot with a little. You're right. My apologies. Thank you.
Or maybe they are trying to do a little with a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes both ways,
like,
I guess.
Guys, I know we're going to spend $275 million on this, but let's make it feel like we didn't spend that much.
Yeah, it's just like there are moments where you want, I don't know, I just wanted this to feel like there's that great moment when, you go into like the original cantina or even Canto Bight or like wherever, and it's like, it just feels more, this feels like dark and a little like, I don't know, it just doesn't have that same sense of fun. But I know it's supposed to also, maybe that's just the tone they're going for. Maybe it's like, this is a darker, seedier side. This is Crimson Dawn. They're evil. Like, maybe you're not supposed to get that vibe. But it also just, I don't know, something about it doesn't quite play right to me.
Yeah, it doesn't feel anything. That's like it doesn't feel seedy. Like it they're different vibe. Like the cantina certainly feels seedy. The Canto Bight feels ritzy, decadent. Decadent. Each of these things has something about it, but this doesn't feel like anything. It's just like, oh, there's some people, and some of them are weird, but there's no vibe here.
It's like a liminal space. It's like a liminal cantina where you're not like something unsettling about it or unsatisfying. It's tough to tell what it is.
Yeah. I wonder if it's intentionally
liminal
supposed...
Dan and the mediocre notes. I don't know.
and the regional governors.
I wonder if it's almost intentionally supposed to be not fun. Like there's a certain kind of like there's that shot, maybe it was in the last minute or maybe it's in this one, where you see like someone from the Empire or whatever kind of like whispering in a woman's ear or something. Like maybe there's just a sense of like, you don't want any part of any of these people. This is not fun. This is a bad crowd.
What? But it also doesn't, like, they're not going far enough in that direction. If it is like they're not skeevy enough. If it's supposed to be skeevy, they're not like not going too far in any direction. It's just kind of like to
me, everyone just feels it feels like a kind of poor man's Canto Bight. Like it's not as luxurious as Canto Bight. It's just kind of like smaller and more contained. And the aliens feel kind of like that. They're kind of like upscale people in tuxedos, but they're not exciting enough to really I don't remember any of the characters, any of the aliens or anything.
Right.
I think I mentioned this before, but I think for me, the cardinal sin of this movie is that it tries to do too much. And I think this is one of the ways that suffers, because you can't have the slower moments where Han is just in this space, exploring this space, and you see like maybe the Empire officers whispering to somebody, and like you get to see him seeing it and reacting to it and being like, oh, I'm in trouble here. Like there's no real sense. He's just sort of like, because they have to get to the next thing, so they can't luxuriate on those moments where it's like, oh, we could really establish that vibe if we had the opportunity to like show it and not tell it. We're just telling them it's a dangerous place. This guy's going to kill you. And then we get to the next thing. So we got to do 6 other plots.
Yeah.
That's true, I guess. Well, no, I don't know. They could have gone. It didn't
you don't
have
know.
To be
you
a
haven't
party.
seen it yet.
Right. They could have just arrived at his office, and it could have been more like an office, essentially. Like his, it didn't have to be a party here. They could have shown up to the guards, and while they're waiting, Qi'ra kind of comes down or something like that. You know what I mean?
I like that we're like, let's take out even the party bar. Let's just have them meet in an office. That will be more fun.
That'd be more exciting. Let's just have them meet in an office. We'll have some fluorescent lights, maybe a water cooler.
We do,
but if you wanted to make it,
we do get the kind of party chest burster or whatever that thing is, the little like gremlin thing.
Yeah, what is? I could not find any information on that creature.
Me neither, but I like it. It was one of the like extra, like we don't really see aliens play with scale too much, so it's neat to see a little guy there.
I think it's coming out of that woman's dress, right? Like there's a woman in a very sheer dress, and it's almost like it's almost like it's either a chest burster. It kind of seems a little H.R. Geiger-esque. Its mouth, and it's this weird, or either that, or it's just like an attached twin or something.
We've seen a couple of tiny, like I guess less than a foot tall aliens in Star Wars, particularly in the Disney era, I guess, when they could pull off that kind of stuff more. I wonder about the practicality of how could such small aliens survive in a world where they would get stepped on and that kind of, or even, not even intentionally, just accidentally. Those things are going to, as someone who has 2 cats and a small dog, there's inevitably times where you kick them, sit on them, whatever. So I'm just curious as to how they can function.
I think we're going to call animal control and send them to your place, Alex, and make sure that your animals are being taken care of.
They won't say a word.
I didn't think at the time that I didn't notice him being attached to that lady, but now it does look weirdly like it's almost like like Quato or something. Like it's like a weird it's like a.
There's a lot going on with this weird little thing.
Yeah,
and it looks nasty and mean.
Yeah, but it's cute in its little suit.
Yeah. It's kind of a fun combo of it being nasty and mean, but also like out for a fancy. Like it's wearing its confirmation suit or something.
I like the little guy, and I like the these like low level Imperials too, which you could tell they each have one little bar, which probably means they're not too they're not too high up, and they're trying to throw their weight around a little bit. Obviously, they're having a little. Maybe I'm reading that into it, but it's like they seem like they're trying to make more of themselves, and the one guy is talking to the girl and looking, and I don't know if that look is suspicious of Han and Chewie, or if he's kind of looking because he shouldn't be talking to that woman, or maybe both.
Oh, we also, I mean, this earlier in the week, we commented on the fact that it seems awfully strange that Dryden Vos has his ship right next to the site of the robbery, seemingly.
Right.
But now, as we can see, he clearly has no fear of the Imperials. He's murders one in his office. There's other Imperials here, apparently still enjoying hanging out in the hospitality. So it doesn't sound like he's really in any. If anything, do you think this regional governor is just was this his excuse for coming? Was, oh, I have a meeting with the regional governor.
Right.
I'll throw them off the scent by murdering him. That way, no one will ever suspect that I just tried to rob this place.
Well, one of those other Imperials is now the new regional governor.
Oh, yeah.
He got the
and will
promotion.
do exactly what Dryden Vos wants.
I love the idea that
Congratulations, regional governor.
No.
He's like, oh.
I love the idea that their little insignia thing would just all of a sudden like blink and change colors or something, and that would be how they know that they've been promoted. Like like the regional governor dies, and all of a sudden like bleep bleep, and it's like oh.
Or
Like,
maybe it's like it's like you don't know. It's like all changes, all colors. You don't know where it's going to end up. You don't know what your rank is going to be at the end.
It's
You're
like
like,
press
oh,
your luck
dude,
or
I'm a
something.
lieutenant, or whatever. So.
Oh, bankrupt.
Sorry, looks like your Grand Moff.
If they had been successful in, we're going to go back and relitigate this a little bit. If they had been successful in stealing the coaxium,
Yeah,
would they have showed up to the same door and basically like been like wheeled it through the party with the Imperials from whom they just stole it, or would they have made a different arrangement? Did they have an off-world contact to bring it to? The only reason why they're coming here to see him face to face is because they screwed up.
Well, if we follow Alex's logic from before, if the governor's being invited to the office and those other Imperials are there, then they are distracted while Beckett and his crew load the coaxium into another part of the ship because they're all at this party. That's why they're having the party. It's a distraction. And Dryden Vos kills the governor in a fit of rage because he's like, he says something to the effect of, why do I get so upset? It's just a party. It's he didn't plan that murder. He just got pissed off at the guy and killed him with his Kaiuso Petars.
Kaiuso Petar.
Kaiuso Petars and the regional governors.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess it's possible. Why not? They could have. Maybe that was all part of the plan to like load it right onto there. It seems unnecessarily risky.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to like, a lot of things in Star Wars, you're trying to back into what the logical explanation of that thing would be. So it seems as likely as anything else.
Is it possible Vos just kills everyone that comes in his office? Like that's just like he would have killed them as well.
Seems like a hothead.
Yeah.
And it's possible that's maybe why his buddy has a flat robot head.
All right.
I was reminded today that apparently Dryden Vos was originally going to be played by the late Michael K. Williams.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I totally had forgotten about that.
Diving
he was
through
almost,
all the dead actors this week.
Yeah. It's a rough one.
It's a shame.
But,
yeah. I would have loved to have seen him in this part.
What?
Yeah, it's certainly not like it's not like get me a Michael K. Williams type. Paul Bettany, perfect.
Right. Yeah.
He doesn't quite seem like the same vibe, but
I think when he was going to play Vos, it was going to be more of an alien character.
Oh, is that the one they were going to be
think.
breaking out of jail?
He was supposed to be kind of lion, have a lion aesthetic to the alien. I think there's concept art of it.
Well, I'm picturing like Rum Tum Tugger, which is probably not. I mean, it's not bad in my head, but it's probably not what we're going for.
No, I'm just kind of vaguely remembering this, but it very much like had the art I remember seeing very much has Michael K. Williams.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Michael K. Williams' face, and then it's like he's kind of bluish with like kind of a mane hair alien thing.
Or Dr. Moreau.
It does say
a little bit.
Here's a quote from from Michael K. Williams, who said he was half mountain lion, half human. He was extremely sophisticated, very rich. He'd been around the world, older guy, and it was sort of a love triangle between Qi'ra and Han Solo. And not where it was overtly a love triangle, but there was definitely a pissing contest going on over the girl's attention, and Vos is old and Han is younger, so it was that thing going on, like, young buck, I've been around the world, but he's like, the young chick wants the young buck, so there was a little bit of that energy going on, but the relationship on paper was definitely with Qi'ra and Han Solo.
Do we know what the circumstances were? Why this change?
I vaguely heard it's just reshoots and scheduling.
Yeah, right? I think that's what I think it was timing, basically, that he was unavailable or perhaps unwilling.
Had he already shot stuff and they just reshot it all with Paul Bettany?
I believe so.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's why it's $270 million.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's not in it a small amount. I mean, he's not as much as, I don't know. It seems like such a huge thing that you wouldn't have just worked out the timing of it unless they just felt like they were under the gun to get it.
You do
released.
get the sense from some of the Paul Bettany scenes in this movie that they're just sort of like, could we change the plot of this movie with just some talking scenes with Paul Bettany? Like,
Probably.
let's take 2 days and shoot some stuff and we'll fix this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I don't know. It is a bummer though. I would love to see that stuff. And that was the Lord and Miller version, or is it already still? Yeah.
Yeah, the Lord and Miller version was with him, and then when they decided to scrap it and start over, and then they redid it. He was filming the Red Sea Diving Resort in South Africa, and so he was unavailable to shoot this. So they could not.
Are there any other actors you guys would like to see in a Star Wars in the future?
Oh gosh, I always want to see David Tennant in something else. And I feel like he's like a. Well,
he was into Jennifer Jones. What was that show?
Oh, yeah,
the Janet.
Jessica Jones. Yeah,
Jessica Jones. Yeah. I don't know if they'll still count as being in the MCU, but
right, that's very true.
Maybe Olivia Colman. Don't know what she would play. Maybe she is in Star Wars that I'm forgetting. Seems like she would be.
Yeah, she does seem like she could definitely be in a Star Wars. But one of the things in the Disney era, there's a lot of actors from The Crown show up in small parts in Star Wars. So,
seeing some of the more recent, slightly chubbier X-wing pilots, I'm like, I'll do it.
Well, I assume anyone whom I ask that question, anyone. Well, so how about that then? If they were to say, "Hey, we love you guys. We want you to do a cameo in it," what do you want to do? Do you want to be a droid? Do you want to be an alien? Do you want to be able to see your faces? What's your choice?
Oh, voice of a droid would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fun.
That way you don't have to actually, but you might not be on the set then if you're just the voice.
Good point.
Mm-hmm.
If that's
I want to be. You know what? And maybe it would be. Maybe I would come to regret it if I did a bad job. I want to see my face in a Star Wars movie. I'm gonna just go ahead and pick that option. I'm gonna do a scene as Han Solo. We'll put very little effort into looking like either of the incarnations of Han Solo. I'll be like, "Hey guys, I'm Han Solo. How you doing?"
But you want to be able to see your face, so it's not like they could have your body and then just do a deep fake with Harrison Ford. You want to be able to see your face.
And I'll be pointing at my face a lot, being like, "Look at this! Look at this face, everybody! Remember me!"
You're in that scene the first time they shave Chewbacca's face.
There you go.
I'll be like, "Oh, thank you. That fur was getting in my mouth. I could
So I
barely
couldn't talk
speak."
straight. Yeah. I've amended mine over the years, and I think what it is, I don't care as much. I just want to not die. I want my character to be there, and I want people to do like fan fiction and other stuff about my character. I want my character to live on. So I'll be anything as long as they don't die.
Yeah, rebel trooper in the background, resistance fighter.
Yeah.
That's great. That's all fun.
That's a good point. Like if you have a short period of time, also maybe you have a line that suggests something interesting in your backstory. They're like, you're never going to believe what I went through to get these plans.
Right.
People will be really excited about
the whining rebel.
So these are my demands now. I don't want to die, and I want to say something that's completely unexplained.
Yeah. Well, you have to have something. The best part of having a line, aside from, is that you have something to write on when you autograph.
Oh yeah,
stuff.
when
you can say like it's a trap or whatever your line would be. You have something to say. So
it's another trap. That's my. I'll be that
guy. Somehow it's another trap.
Right.
They're like, why is he? What other trap is he referring? Like in the scene, they're like. What?
I just feel bad for the decraniumed actor who like, no, that was me. That's me, I swear. Yeah, look from the nose down.
Or do they have a thing in front of them? Just like their sign is just like down in front of their face.
Yeah. They just have like a green like a do-rag like pulled down over there like a green screen.
Perfect.
Well, speaking of actors, we get to see the return of Qi'ra here, Emilia Clarke. You guys get to see her for the first time, and I guess now even us, we haven't seen her since minute 5 or something. So maybe a little bit after that. But you guys like the character / actress?
Yeah, I think I do. I think she does a decent job, and I don't want no spoilers, but it seems like they were clearly had more plans for her.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have been interesting to see some of those plans play out, even though, I don't know how. It seems like that's probably not going to happen now, but who knows? And
the whole movie ends. It seems like that, like they fully expected a Solo 2 to be happening.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
with Darth Maul showing up and everything. Like, why would they have done that if they had not planned on exploring it in future installments or whatever? But
yeah, I think they had got a little bit Marvel cabin fever or something, like where they thought like, all you have to do is tag a thing at the end and then it's a thing. It's like, nah, that's not how it works. You gotta make a good movie first.
Right.
But I think she does a pretty good job in this scene. And I think she does a pretty good job in the movie overall. And there's a really great moment in the scene where I mentioned earlier, like the guards come by and he's so excited and just like kind of clueless. He kind of grabs her face and it's like, he doesn't realize that is not okay and that she's not comfortable with it. Someone's about to come over and tell him to stop until she kind of like, it's all right, and kind of is like,
yeah, there's definitely a moment of like looking around after a second, of like, oh yeah, and then, oh, also all the people are here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I think she plays it really well because it's got to be it's a complex thing for an actor to show that they are both excited to see their old friend and
wary.
Why is this guy here? Like this can't be, something's up and I have to be on my guard all the time because that's just who I am now.
She also has to tap him on the back in a way that he would credibly think that for some reason she's Chewbacca.
Yeah.
A short, non-hairy woman taps him on the back. He's like, Chewie.
I mean, the kind of thing, like whenever they show a close up of her hands, they're really giant, like that Seinfeld episode where she has really big, giant hands.
Mm-hmm.
Hairy. But that leads me to two. I'll stick with one question. Where is Chewbacca? Because earlier Chewbacca is just like, rah, 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 rah. I was like, all right, go do,
I assumed he was like, hey, can we get some drinks? Something?
And Han is just like, yeah, whatever, you go. So.
I assumed he was getting drinks. He was like, hey man, you want a beer? And he's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, there's a buffet. And he went to get the drinks, then he got distracted by the buffet.
Don't forget, Chewie hasn't eaten in 3 days, they established.
Yeah. Well, as long as he didn't eat Rio, which he hadn't eaten in 3 days, then they left, and so this is here's finally a place where he can grab a meal. So
yeah,
all right,
yeah,
problem
Chewie's
solved.
chowing down.
Yeah, That's what he's saying. He's like, I haven't eaten in 3 days, and there's a buffet over there. And Han's like, yeah, okay, whatever you got.
Yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
I feel like Han's reaction really supports my theory that maybe Han is only understanding a few of the things that Chewie is saying, and so this is one where he doesn't repeat. He's like, yeah. Like Chewie's like, I am starving. Can we get some food? He's like, yeah, whatever you're saying. Yeah, there you go.
I think you said something about a bicycle. I don't know. Go for it.
Always thinking with his stomach. It'd be great if because we never see Chewbacca eat. So maybe in Return of the Jedi, when he is trying to eat that Ewok trap, he really is hungry at that point. So
yeah, it's been a lot more than 3 days at that point.
Yeah. Well, I do. We were talking about this, and somebody else, I think, did they call in and point it out or something? Where it's just like Chewie's adventures are a series of not being able to eat when he wants to.
That's true.
The Porg and the Ewok trap and this
Cloud City
there's
too. There's a tease of food,
Cloud City.
and they're about to sit down for brunch, and suddenly Darth Vader and Boba Fett are there, and I guess I'm assuming Chewie did not get to eat.
Mm-hmm.
So I have some factoids about Qi'ra actress Emilia Clarke. This is all from the IMDb. IMDb, your number one source for internet movie information. She says she is not recognized in public very often because people expect her to have silvery hair like her character in that TV show.
Game of Thrones, yeah.
Game of
that
Thrones
probably works out. Huh?
Yeah, they expect her to have dragons with her too.
Right.
They're always looking up, and they never think to look on ground level. Or, she played Sarah Connor in that Terminator Legacy sequel, or is it just a sequel? What would you say it is?
I thought it was kind of one of those soft reboots where they're like
soft reboot.
Yeah, where it's like, well, wait, it's a sequel, but not totally a sequel.
Can we call a soft reboot a resock, or is that
I love it.
All right.
Yes, 100%.
To sock again. And apparently her Game of Thrones co-star, Lena Headey, also played Sarah Connor in the Sarah Connor Chronicles. So
that's right.
That's like a time, some kind of temporal distortion. Although I never saw the last season. I don't even know if they have any scenes together or not during the entire thing. But anyway.
I've heard that show is quite good, but I haven't seen a second of it.
Speaking of the MCU, she auditioned to be Sharon Carter in the Captain America franchise, but obviously did not get the part. So I wonder if history would have gone differently. Probably not.
No, would have been about the same.
And apparently
there would be no Captain America. She would have stopped that assassin, that German assassin.
Oh, right.
From the future.
It's like that What If, right? Where she becomes Agent Carter, or is that the other one?
That's Peggy. She was auditioning to be Sharon, the niece, right?
Oh, I was totally yeah. Then I got confused.
Yeah,
Sharon
shows up in Winter Soldier and is his neighbor, pretending to be, but is actually spying.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's from Scandal, that actress who was on that show. Not Scandal, Revenge. Anyway. Apparently
Scandal
also
of the Sith.
Emilia Clarke was bullied in high school because of her eyebrows. That's
that sucks.
Yeah. But
these facts
look, hey, no, I want a second here.
Uh-oh.
Emilia, if you're listening, we don't agree with that. And we're sorry that happened to you.
Yeah. Totally.
You be you.
You be you. Well, I'm sure she's that's got to be the best revenge is that when you're not that you're it's good to be made fun of, but when you're made fun of and then you're like, yes, now I'm on a huge popular show and everyone considers me to be very attractive now. So in your face, kids.
Yeah.
In your face, the part above the eyes of your face.
And people have only good things to say about Game of Thrones these days. So
it's true.
She's doing just great.
Now they're back to for a couple of years. They're just like, oh, no, and then now they're back to bullying her. They're like, hey, how'd your show go? Eyebrows. And she's like, oh,
good most of the time.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else for minute number 45?
I asked where Chewie's going. I said I like the little creature. That's pretty much it.
Michael K. Williams, hairless Mogwai. That's what gremlins are called. That's
Mogwai.
No,
that's the Are the green ones also called Mogwai?
No,
I
those
think
are
they're
not.
called gremlins. Yeah.
But is that their official name, Gremlins, or does that like? Are they scientifically still considered Mogwais, or are they?
Alex,
totally
this
different
is
thing?
a different podcast.
Okay, so yeah, I forgot. I thought we were in
Right.
Gremlins.
Is it
Gremlins
Mogwai
2
minute is down the hall.
Yeah.
The only thing I have is that when the singer stops singing, there
Yeah.
is no music in the party for a few minutes. And I'm surprised there's not just like they don't put up like the house playlist or something like that. It's just like awkwardly quiet.
Mm.
Maybe everybody's like, oh, thank God they stopped, because it's like there are sometimes when you're at, like if you're not there for a band, but you're at a party or at something and a band starts playing, or like at a dinner. I once, left a dinner after appetizers because all of a sudden live music started and it was super loud.
The worst thing is when a band is playing in a situation like that, and then they play a quiet number, and everyone uses that as an opportunity to suddenly now have conversations because they can actually hear each other. So it's just basically like everyone murmuring while the band is trying to. Oh, that's great. Well, I guess that will wrap up minute number 45. Unless, and then you guys have anything else you want to say about Solo in general? Do you have strong feelings about the Fleabag robot or Lando?
The Fleabag robot totally sounds like a Heinlein juvenile.
I think I've said everything I thought. Like I really went into this movie wanting to like it, and I think it is enjoyable, but kind of just feels too chaotic. There's too many things going on, and I wish they had just taken one of those ideas and like made it into a movie. Like I think a movie with Han Solo's mentor is really cool. I think a movie where Han Solo and Chewbacca become his friends, potentially very cool. It just seemed crowded in my estimation, and needed to like just trim some of the stuff and let it. If they really wanted to make more of these, like why try to cram everything into this one? I mean, that's what worked for the original Star Wars. Was like he wanted to make this huge movie, and he was like, well, I got to cut out a bunch of it and just do these things and just tell this one story. I don't know. It seems like there's maybe a lesson there.
I remember liking it okay. Like I saw it a bit later, so it's often like if your expectations are high, you enjoy it less. My expectations were pretty low, and I was like, oh, there's some funny bits. But I assume I would be more interested in whatever Lord and Miller's vision was a little bit more, but who knows?
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. They've just made such cool things, and I like everything that they've made and that I've seen.
Yeah.
Which I think I've seen everything they've made, but
it does really like make you wonder what could they possibly have been trying to do that led to such interference. I don't know whether or not, the creative differences, how different could it have been? What could that have been that they either they chose to walk or they were, essentially fired? It's just like, well, what? How wrong could it go? Like, you know what I mean? Like how
it'll make a great documentary someday.
Yeah, very much so. And when you think about like Into the Spider-Verse, there's a movie that has like a ton of different things going on. There are literally like 6 different Spider-Men, and that works. So it's like, well, maybe they could have balanced all these different storylines and made it like kind of come together. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully someday they'll release some of the story and the original script or whatever.
I was going to try to make a release the Snyder Cut joke, and then I couldn't formulate it.
Couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it, so I just gave up. Do I get credit for just saying that I was going to do it though?
I think you get credit for not doing it. Yeah, pointing
it out. Probably more credit than just saying threatening to do it was enough. So, well, in the green room, we were just discussing the fact that you guys have been doing the Magic Tavern now for 7 years. Is is my memory accurate?
Yeah, we've been doing a fully improvised fantasy comedy podcast for 7 years. Everything on the show every dumb thing that gets made up is canon for the life of the show. So our brains are full of weird made up names and things that don't make any sense.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with the show, it's just a fun It's a fun thing where Arnie plays himself. He goes into a fantasy world and he starts a podcast there where he interviews monsters and kings and wizards and whatever fantasy tropes he comes across. But it's just an excuse to have like a funny conversation with great comic actors, and like Arnie said, live with all the consequences of that and have fun with lots of genre stuff. So if you like genre stuff, we like, it's not just fantasy. We kind of make fun of a lot of different things and have fun lovingly mocking those things.
Yeah, it's a great show.
Thank you.
I'm a fan of it myself. People should check that out. And I guess you really should start. Do you recommend people start at the first episode? Because I mean, you do kind of learn about it gradually. You know what I mean? There is like a...
Yeah, I'm of the opinion there's no wrong way to listen to it. If you really want, like a lot of people do start at the beginning and it's a very satisfying if you want to listen to several hundred episodes and go through the whole journey of it. There's a lot that's rewarding about that. But also, as we sometimes say, it's not The Wire. You can jump into a recent one and you'll more or less get it. Whatever's not going to stop you from starting listening to it, I think is the way you should.
I've started recommending that people look and see if there's a guest that they like, because we have a guest most weeks. And if you listen to that episode and you like the show, then go back to the beginning and like listen to the whole thing. If it's just not your cup of tea, we get it. But also, like, I think it's really just about having a funny conversation with funny people who get to play with these ideas, and it's a lot of fun.
Can you still listen to those early episodes, or now are you like, oh, I wish those were, you know what I mean? Like on a technical level or a performance level, are you as satisfied with the early ones, or do you
technically the people who we had working for us early on did a great job of making the show sound really good, but we've only gotten even better. Like there's quite a bit of post-production that goes into the episodes. So, I think they all sound pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And
Matt's character's voice changed.
Yeah, this, there's a season 1 Homer Simpson vibe, as Arnie likes to call it, with Usador, the wizard that I play. Who early on is kind of very gravelly and low like this. Then later on, he's sort of a little more jaunty. It just evolved naturally over time because we are truly improvising it all and finding it all in the moment. And that's the fun of it too, is the journey along the way of us discovering things as we're making them up and then having to live with the nonsense we've said.
When I listen to one of the very early episodes, I'm always like, oh, that's right. These episodes were like 17 to 20 minutes long. Maybe we should go back to doing shorter episodes. It's so nice and refreshing to kind of blaze through it a little quickly.
Not to insert myself into all this, but like I love hearing Alex ask these questions, and I feel like I'm getting asked these questions, but you guys are answering very similarly to the way that I would answer these, and I'm like, oh, good, okay, yeah. Like I find your answers very satisfying on a similar level because I feel like I'm like, oh, good, it's not directed at me. Oh, but they're answering like, good, I feel that way. Yeah. So.
Did you think I was passively aggressively using this as an opportunity to chat?
No, I don't feel like you're asking, but I just like I've been in the position of being asked very similar questions when I'm trying to. I felt the pressure of having to describe the show or talking about our early seasons and stuff like that. But I was like,
Peter, how much has your character changed over the years?
Definitely a little bit.
Our episodes used to be 10 minutes long also.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Oh, man.
That one really struck home with me. I was like, oh yeah. I remember 10-minute episodes.
So people should check out Hello from the Magic Tavern. Definitely. And in addition to that, Pete and I also do podcasts on the side when we're apart from each other. I am the co-host of The Godfather Minute, where we go through The Godfather 1 minute at a time, and just like this, except for only one episode a week. And you can check that out at godfatherminute.com. Pete, what tell people about ABCDTOS?
Yes, I'm with some other friends. We go through every episode of Star Trek, the original series, in alphabetical order. because that's why not. It's
Mix it up.
ABCDTOS, and we're getting deep in there. I think we're in the T's, or we might have just started U by the time this episode drops. Use alls. We started yes.
Is there a letter that the most episodes start with?
There were a surprising number. I feel like there's a big chunk of C's, which I wasn't expecting.
Hunk of cheese?
C's. A chunk of C's. And it's also, there's a couple that there aren't any for. Like, there's no K episodes of Star Trek. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And
what about the other oddball letters like X and Q?
Yeah, no X's, no Q's, no.
Q shows up in the Next Generation.
Yeah, that's the problem. He's the Squire of Gothos here, basically. So we had to. But yeah, no XYZ at all. It ends with W. Wolf in the Fold is alphabetically our last episode. So.
Well, people should. Do you have a question? Go ahead.
No, I'm also a big Star Trek fan, so it took me a second to parse ABCTOS, and I love that.
Well, thanks. It's fun to do.
Great.
Yeah. Well, Pete, thanks for that concise summary of your podcast, and fellas, thanks for joining us all week here on the show. And listeners, thank you for listening, and we hope you'll join us for another episode on Monday of another brand new Star Wars Minute.
Star Wars Minute.